Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tim Barker, and I'm the District Attorney of York County. We appreciate everybody being here as we give an update on the tragic events that occurred earlier today here at UPMC Memorial Hospital. I'm going to begin by giving you some facts before I turn it over to our Governor, Josh Shapiro, to go ahead and make comments. And the reason why I'm starting off with the synopsis is because as part of my role of District Attorney, I have to go ahead and review items of evidence and make legal conclusions on certain things. And we had sufficient evidence that I, at this time, can announce some specific legal conclusions. Now, I do want to mention up front that this is an ongoing investigation. There are other aspects that will still need to be looked into. However, there are some specific things that relate to specific aspects regarding what's known as justification in an officer-involved shooting that I am able to definitively answer for you at this time. So what I want to do is start off with some of the basic aspects. From between 10:35 a.m., approximately that time, and 11:13 a.m., an incident occurred here at UPMC Memorial Hospital that involved an individual by the name of Diogenes Archangel Ortiz. His date of birth 11/4/75. This individual entered the hospital, and he entered carrying with him a bag that did include a handgun and zip ties. That becomes important for what he did later on. He went straight to the ICU, and in the ICU, this individual went and held hostage members of the UPMC staff. In total, he wound up discharging his firearm and struck 3 members of the UPMC staff. One was a doctor who was grazed, the other was a nurse and a custodian who are in stable condition at this time. There was, from our understanding at this time, a 4th individual who fell and did suffer injury, who was part of medical staff due to the fall, but not struck by the discharged firearm. And additionally, there were UPMC officers that responded right away to try to alleviate the harm that occurred. And in fact, this individual, Diogenes Archangel Ortiz, did discharge his firearm at UPMC officers. He did hold individuals hostage, and that led to contacting the authorities and to the response of multiple law enforcement agencies, which include the following: the West York Borough PD, the West Manchester Township PD, and we are located within West Manchester Township Police Department region, the Northern York County Regional Police Department, Spring-Itsbury Township Police Department, Spring Garden Township Police Department, York City Police Department, Newbury Township Police Department, the Pennsylvania State Police, York County detectives from the District Attorney's Office, the York County Sheriff's Department, and overall the York County Quick Response Team, which is made up of highly trained individuals from throughout this county. Together, they came to go ahead and alleviate the harm of the situation and to go ahead and see if they could mitigate anyone from further suffering any damage from being shot or any other scenario like that. What had occurred then was there was a formation that was formed by law enforcement that was highly professional as they went to go ahead and engage Mr. Archangel Ortiz. What had occurred at that point is when they went to go ahead and breach in formation, the ICU, the individual was holding at gunpoint a member of the UPMC staff and ordered the police to get back to behind the doors. They did, so that as the person being held hostage would not be harmed, and were attempting to try to engage in discussion with Mr. Archangel Ortiz. At that time, they proceeded to go into further formation to work on how they were going to approach the individual. When he came out, Mr. Diogenes Archangel Ortiz came out holding at gunpoint a member of the UPMC staff who was also had her hands tied with the aforementioned zip ties. Holding her at gunpoint, coming out into the hallway, the officers, left with no recourse, did open fire and did shoot and kill Diogenes Archangel Ortiz. During the course of the armed confrontation that was caused by Mr. Archangel Ortiz, there were 3 officers who were struck. An officer from Northern York County Regional Police Department and an officer from Springettsbury Township Police Department were both struck, and they are in stable condition. However, Officer Andrew Duarte from the West York Borough Police Department was fatally struck and killed. This is a huge loss to our community. The first thing that I have to do is to announce the legal business at hand. As I stated, I personally watched surveillance videos, and I was able to hear firsthand interview statements that were made by officers who were present and there and who saw what occurred. I was also privy to receive statements from individuals who work for UPMC. In reviewing all of that evidence, it is absolutely clear and beyond any and all doubt that the officers were justified in taking their action and using deadly force. Quite frankly, they needed to use deadly force because by doing so, they potentially saved even more lives, even as they lost one of their own. I want to greatly thank our partners that I mentioned in law enforcement and with UPMC. They showed great bravery, great heroism. They are the reason why we are safe and why we can function. And as York Countyans, they are the backbone and lifeblood of our county. We need, as York Countyans, to come together to support our law enforcement community who is hurting right now with the loss of Officer Duarte. And we need to rally around our healthcare workers in York County as they have suffered a grave harm, an unwarranted harm, and an unnecessary harm. I will say that this did appear to be targeted at the ICU. We do have, and while this information is being developed further, I can say at this time that Diogenes Archangel Ortiz did appear to have contact previously in the week with the ICU for a medical purpose involving another individual. Information regarding all of that is going to be generated further in the future. We do not have any further information to provide at this time. But obviously, if you are arriving at a hospital with a firearm and zip ties and immediately proceed to a specific area and engage in these actions, that this was targeted on the part of Mr. Archangel Ortiz. My heart, along with everybody else in York County, breaks. In 27 years, it's been very rare that we've had to have a press conference like this in York County. We must come together and we must achieve peace. And please pray for everyone, and especially pray for the family and loved ones of Officer Andrew Duarte. May he rest in peace. Job well done, life well served. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to our governor, Josh Shapiro.
Thank you, Mr. District Attorney. Let me say that here in York County today, we saw the very best and the very worst of humanity. The District Attorney laid out the worst of humanity, the act of a coward here in this UPMC Memorial Hospital. Let it not be lost on anyone the act of extraordinary bravery and courage by the healthcare workers here, by the law enforcement professionals, the state and local and here at the hospital level, who ran toward danger to keep people safe. I know that because of their work, lives were saved today here at UPMC Memorial. I know that because they answered the call and ran toward danger, lives were saved. Sadly, we lost one of those heroes today, as the district attorney announced. Officer Duarte was the best of us. He was someone who put on the uniform of service and went out to try and keep his neighbors safe. He is to be commended for a life of service, albeit cut way too short, but a life of service to others. We're deeply grateful to him. We're deeply grateful to all of law enforcement who answered the call today and ran immediately toward danger. As the DA cited the various departments that came, I want to thank them, and I also want to thank the Pennsylvania State Police, led by Colonel Christopher Paris and Lieutenant Colonel Bivens, who joined me here today. All state resources, including that of PEMA, we're joined by Randy Padfield here, were brought to bear. This was an example of government working together at all levels. I want to thank Senator Kiefer and Representative Grove, who are with us. And I want to take a moment to thank your county government and county leaders as well. Commissioner Wheeler has made clear that the county will provide all resources necessary to make sure that those who need help, particularly with their mental health over the coming days and weeks and months, will have the support they need from York County. This is an example of government working together at every single level. I want to thank the former District Attorney of York County and, of course, now our Attorney General, Dave Sunday, for being here. And I want you to know that my office has been in direct communication with the White House all day today. We want to thank President Trump and his administration for their concern for our community. We have all the resources that we need going forward to make sure that we keep people safe and that we are able to help people heal. I want to take a moment to speak about those healthcare workers. Obviously, we pray for a full and speedy recovery for those who were injured today. But I know that the trauma that the healthcare workers here today had to deal with is not something that goes away overnight. Every day when you put on your white coat or your uniform of service to others here in this wonderful hospital or any hospital across Pennsylvania, you are performing that function because you care about your neighbors and you want to make sure that they are healthy and safe. Something like this should never, ever happen in your place of work. And we'll continue to work with you, our state and local leaders, to make sure that you have the resources and the services you need to be able to perform your functions. I've spoken to Leslie Davis, the CEO of UPMC, and I know that the hospital and the health system will provide whatever resources that you need in order to make sure you are able to heal. It is, for me, another painful reminder of how tragedy can come to a community in a split second. But it is also an uplifting reminder of how neighbors in this great Commonwealth always reach out to help neighbors, coworkers helping coworkers, and of course law enforcement being there to ensure the safety and well-being of a community. Tonight, we pray for this community, and especially for the Duarte family. A life cut short, but a life of service and meaning and purpose. And I offer my blessings and that of my wife, Lori, our First Lady, our family, and the entire Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We pray for strength for this community. We pray for healing for this community. And we pray for the family of Officer Duarte. I know that the team here at UPMC has a lot of work to do to both take care of patients and to heal themselves. And we're grateful that Elizabeth Ritter is here with us today representing UPMC in her leadership role. Elizabeth, I know this is not something that you ever would want to have to grapple with in your workplace, Well, we are grateful for your leadership here, and it's my pleasure to turn the microphone over to you at this time.
Thank you. We're grateful today to all law enforcement officers who responded so bravely, as well as our outstanding leaders and staff who immediately responded and continue to work together to support our employees, our patients, and their families. Our thoughts and prayers are with everyone who was exposed to this terrible event, and we are so grateful for the outpouring support that we've received from so many of our colleagues here. Thank you.
I think with that, the DA and I will be happy to try and take some questions. I don't imagine we'll be able to offer any more detail on the investigation, but certainly if there are any general questions, we'll be happy to try and answer them for you.
Can you say again the condition of the people who were also injured?
I'll leave that to the DA or the hospital.
Our information that we have at this time is that everybody else is in stable condition who had been shot. One individual was grazed and in fact did not need to go for anywhere else for further care. The other individuals, they have received medical care but are stable to the best of our information at this time.
And DA, you said there was a nurse, a doctor, and I apologize, who was the third one?
A custodian.
Custodian.
Yes, that's based upon the information that we were able to obtain at this point through the investigation.
Do you know how many were held hostage with zip ties?
At this point in time, it would be speculative to say the exact number. We can definitively say one individual that is being reviewed to see if it was the same individual being referred to at other points in time. So I can't speculate, and that will be subject of the further investigation.
Do you know what kind of firearm was used?
This would have been a handgun, a semi-automatic, if I recall correctly. I do not know more specifics yet in terms of other ballistics testing. Ballistics testing will occur. That will be ongoing.
Any information about where the individuals were shot? You said the doctor was grazed, but can you give any more clarification about their injuries?
At this point in time, I would not do so because we do not want to provide any misleading information. While we do have general information, it is general in character. Given the personal nature of an individual being harmed, we would not want to do anything to create any misinformation.
Did Mr. Ortiz shoot anyone, or were the other people who were shot possibly shot as in the process of sort of a friendly fire scenario?
So at this point in time, there's aspects that are part of an ongoing investigation in terms of certain situations and scenarios. I will say this definitively, that we do know that Mr. Archangel Ortiz did shoot other individuals. The exact trajectory and nature of some of those gunshot wounds and how they occurred, that is subject to the further investigation.
Was the person who was treated earlier in the week, was that a relative of his, and was that person still in the ICU at this time?
So for purposes of privacy, until we're ready to go ahead and reveal those further aspects, we're not going to comment further. We do have information regarding that individual, but quite frankly, that individual's family, their relatives, there's notifications that would need to go through this way. So we would prefer not to say anything further about that at this time. We're trying to be very respectful to the sensitive privacy interests and nature of what all had occurred.
Does the hospital have metal detectors? Is that something?
So in terms of their security procedures, that's something that would be best left for further discussion. With the hospital, our focus at this point in time is on the criminal investigation in and of itself. I will say this, that the UPMC police officers did rush right in and tried to alleviate any harm, and they were, like their fellow colleagues in law enforcement, they ran into gunfire when other individuals like us get to run away.
Can you just clarify the number of individuals shot, not including Ortiz?
So, to the best of our information at this point in time, in terms of individuals who were actually struck by gunshots and had suffered gunshot wounds, that total is 6 individuals, 3 medical personnel, 3 law enforcement personnel.
And then can you just say, or rather, can you spell the suspect's name?
Yes. This is the spelling that we have, and so this is accurate to the best of our knowledge. Diogenes is Diogenes. Archangel is Archangel, hyphen Ortiz, Ortiz.
Where do you live?
So that further demographic information is all part of the ongoing investigation that we are gathering at this point in time.
One more?
Did this happen in front of patients?
The best way to put it is this: it did happen in an area where individuals were being treated, and clearly medical personnel was, to the extent that other patients were aware or impacted or affected by what occurred. That would be subject to further criminal investigation. However, one thing that I would note, that is not information that we would necessarily want to so readily share, because again, these are private patients who have very, very heightened privacy interests that we would want to make sure that their well-being is secured. But it is in an area of the hospital where patients are seen.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.